Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it's greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this in one go, therefore I apologise in advance if I stumble over my words going forwards, and indeed, if the quality of this video is fairly poor too, if there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it can't be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. Today is yet another Eurovision related video on my channel, and it's time for another review slash look back installment in this series that I've been doing for what feels like absolutely ages, probably because it has been absolutely ages. I started it a long time ago. It's been about 3 months since I filmed my 2016 review, where I went through all of the songs and spoke about them briefly once again on my channel. And now I'm going to talk about the 2017 edition. Now, something I meant to do was to grab the CD off from my shelves. I'll just do that now. The 2017 contest was staged in Kiev for a second time after the 2005 edition, albeit at a different venue, which I'll speak about as well in just a moment. This is the 2017 CD, which of course you can buy online. 43 songs, a joint record. Celebrate diversity, which Kiev did in style by having 3 male hosts. Lisbon would change that a year later with 4 female hosts. But anyway, let's take a look at the information which I have in front of me just to make sure I don't forget anything. The 2017 edition, which was 3 years ago now, was the 62nd Eurovision Song Contest. Tuesday the 9th, Thursday the 11th and Saturday the 13th of May were the dates in question. The hosts were Alexander Skichko, Volodymyr Ostapchuk and Timur Miroshnichenko, who has hosted Junior Eurovision as well. Usually does the commentary for Ukraine, it's worth saying. 3 male hosts. A lot of people were a little bit disappointed by that, when the theme of that year's contest was Celebrate Diversity. The International Exhibition Centre was the venue. I'm not sure what the capacity inside was, because it's not really a place that's used for shows of this scale. I'd say probably in the region of about 10 to 12,000 maybe. Big stage, big LED screen, and this sort of sweeping structure that sort of met in the middle at the ceiling, if you see what I mean. You'll know what I'm on about if you're a Eurovision fan. It looked pretty good. In all honesty, probably one of the best things about the contest, the stage. But anyway, let's get into it, because there's a lot to get through. 43 songs to talk about. I'm going to begin with semi-final 1, and specifically the songs that did not qualify first. I'll also be briefly mentioning the split results too. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Much appreciated. So, semi-final 1, 18 countries. They all voted alongside 3 of the automatic qualifiers in Italy, Spain and the UK. Song 2 is Georgia, or was Georgia rather, Tamara Gacichiladze. Now I believe Tamara was due to be part of the group representing Georgia in 2009, but of course that was the year when they were disqualified because the lyrics sort of took a dig at Putin, if you remember. Anyway, this song by Tamara, Keep the Faith. It's a stirring ballad. She was wearing this rather slinky, sexy red dress get-up, and it was quite a plain performance, not much in the way of staging. It was all about the vocals, and she sang really well. Georgia had a huge national final that year, and I was quite disappointed when this was the one that came out on top. Saying that, I can listen to it, I don't mind it. It just missed out on qualifying. 11th place, 99 points. In the split results, 8th with the jury and 13th with the public. So it was the public's votes who let her down just a bit. Not a bad song, but it was on early, not the most memorable, alas. Song 4 was Albania. This was Lindita Halimi with World, and this was quite low-key. Not really a ballad, but certainly not massively upbeat either. Lindita, a fantastic singer. She held a note towards the end of this song that went on for about 5 hours. It was just the longest held note we must have ever had in Eurovision, certainly up there. Great singer, and I remember there being a lot of clocks on the LED screen, something like that, stopwatches, things like. Anyway, this song, again, it's okay, but not one of Albania's most memorable over the past 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. 14th place, 76 points in the split results, 12th with the public and 14th with the jurors. So a straight up non-qualifier. Song 6 was Montenegro. Now, some people really did think this was going to go through. I certainly wasn't one of them. This was Slavko Kalezic, really likeable guy. He was on the UK version of the X Factor several years ago, and he had a big long ponytail which he whipped around his head. I'm sure you'll all remember it. The song was called Space. It was a sort of disco pop number, very vibrant, a little bit chaotic. I think it was just him on stage, moving about quite confidently. It was a little bit comical, it was a little bit silly, but at the same time the song really wasn't that awful at all, but it stood little to no chance of success. Montenegro, not great at Eurovision anyway, I think it's fair to say. Only qualified twice, is it? So anyway, 16th place, 56 points. Montenegro were 11th with the public, but 16th with the juries. Fair enough. Finland next. Oh dear me, this was a big talking point after the first semi-final in 2017. I was shocked. I'm not sure if my reaction to the results is online for 2017. If so, it must have been one of the first videos I uploaded. But anyway, Finland were represented by Norma John, which I'm pretty sure is a play on Marilyn Monroe's real name, which is Norma Jean, is it not? Anyway, Norma John, male-female duo, Lasse Pirainen and Lina Tironen, Norma John, then Blackbird, the name of this song. Very maudlin, very sparse, piano, nothing fancy going on in terms of the staging. A smoke machine, I believe, blue lighting, which changed to red for the final chorus. This was so minimal and so different from everything else in that first semi-final, indeed in the entire contest. I felt sure it was going to go through because it stood out so much because of its simplicity. But then again, Portugal, who'd later win, were 2 songs after this in the running order, so maybe people just gravitated towards Salvador Sobral rather than Norma John. This is an underrated gem, no doubt about it. Finland finished 12th with 92 points, 10th with the public. It was the juries who let this down, which I have to say is still surprising to this day. 12th with those juries, overall 12th place in the results. A real shame, because this is one of Finland's best over the past 5 years or so. Let me know what you think. We now zip forwards to Iceland, song 13. This was Svala, the daughter of Bo Halldórsson, who represented Iceland in 1995, I think it was, with Luna. Anyway, this song was called Paper. She was wearing a sort of white cape outfit, which was just a little bit revealing, but we can gloss over that. The song itself, sort of pop with electro hints, I want to say. She's a pretty famous artist, I believe, in Iceland anyway, pre-Eurovision too. This finished 15th with 60 points, and 14th with the public, and 15th with the juries. I hate to say it because I really don't mind this entry. It was a typical Eurovision entry that's just there. The person comes on stage, performs the song, does a decent job, they go off, and that's it. It's over. You've forgotten it. And I'm afraid to say that was the case with this song. Really not bad, but nobody really remembered it. Even today, who's really loving this song? I can't imagine it's too many. I haven't listened to it in ages, but it's a good song. Song 14, Czech Republic. This was Martina Barta with My Turn, a sort of jazz artist, I believe, outside of Eurovision. This song, not quite as jazzy, but certainly stripped back, sort of lounge music, if you know what I'm on about. Low key, nothing really amazing going on in terms of the staging again. Quite nice vocals, quite smooth, rich vocals, I want to say. 13th place, 83 points. This is better than expected. A lot of people thought this was going to finish rock bottom in that first semi-final, but the juries loved it. 7th with those juries, 81 points. 2 points. 2 measly points. Last, 18th with the public. So it really was the public who let them down. But the Czech Republic received 12 points from the Portuguese jury, 10 points from the Slovenian jury, and 10 points from the Spanish jury. Extraordinary. I mean, this is quite a jury-friendly song. You know, there was really nothing bad about it at all. It was just quite sleepy, and I think that's why the public didn't gravitate towards this at all. I like it more than I did but it didn't really stand much of a chance to qualify with those public votes included. If 100% jury, I can understand it. But anyway, Slovenia next, song 17. Now this is a personal qualifier of mine. This is Omar Naber with On My Way. He's tried so many times to represent Slovenia. I'd say at least 4 or 5 times maybe. He represented his country in 2005 in Kiev and didn't qualify. He just missed out. Although that song, Stop, it's a bit of a fan favourite nowadays. This entry, On My Way, yeah, it's a bit cliched. It's another rousing, slightly anthemic, mid-tempo sort of tune. He was trying to come across as very cool, calm and collected on stage, I guess. And yeah, I can understand why he didn't qualify. I absolutely understand why this didn't qualify. But at the same time, I really quite like it. I don't think it's that bad at all. An underrated gem? Maybe? I don't know. I don't really see many people talk about this at all nowadays. 17th place, 36 points, not a surprise. 16th with the public and 17th with the juries. Fair enough. That leaves Latvia, song 18. This was Triana Park with Line. And this is another quirky, very different entry from the Latvians who've really struggled over the past few years, it's fair to say. Anyway, this song was a fan favourite. People were really loving this, and they still really love it now. A lot of people definitely would say that this song was criminally underrated in the 2017 contest. For me, I thought it was such a mess. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was really messy. It was such a lurid, gaudy, colourful, vibrant, just really sort of... Imagine you took, LSD before you took to the stage or watching this performance. And that's, it was that sort of manic thing going on. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say, but what I mean is this song probably didn't qualify just because it was so out there and so different, and I suppose people thought it was messy. Anyway, 18th place, 21 points. It really was quite, not manic, just messy. It finished 17th with the public and 1 point from the juries. Last place, that point, if you're wondering, came from Azerbaijan. There you go. So anyway, Latvia were last, and that's semi-final 1 finished with. Semi-final 2, 18 countries. They all voted alongside France, Germany and Ukraine. Russia were due to perform, but they withdrew because of that big controversy about Julia Samoylova, who would be back a year later. Let's gloss over that. Song 1 in the second semi-final of the 2017 contest was Serbia. This was always a touch-and-go qualifier for me. Just missed out, 11th place, 98 points, just a few points away from going through. It was Tijana Bogišević with In Too Deep. The studio version's pretty good. It's a relatively up-tempo song, but nothing massively original. Serbia are capable of much better than this. Again, a bit of a forgotten entry. The live performance for me really wasn't that great. Her vocals, I'll be honest, I don't think sounded that amazing at all. Maybe she was a bit nervous. Her movements on stage just seemed a little bit awkward. Anyway, let's take a look at the split results, because Serbia finished 11th with the public and 10th with the juries. The voting was actually very close in this second semi-final. Macedonia, North Macedonia as they're now known, was song 3. This was the pregnant, I believe she announced it during the show, did she not? Jana Burčeska with Dance Alone. A lot of people really loved this as well. Quite an up-tempo number, sort of pulsating beat, really quite modern in its sound, I guess. But this song live didn't quite work. She was alone on stage, I believe. She was in a sort of black outfit, boots, doesn't really matter. I thought it was pretty good, but at the same time, I think a lot of people expected this to probably miss out because Macedonia's qualification record isn't the greatest. 15th place, 69 points. It was 13th with the public and 14th with the juries. The studio version's good, the live version a little bit disappointing. Malta, song 4. Big difference here between the jury and the public's opinion. This was Claudia Faniello, the sister of Fabrizio Faniello, who's been at Eurovision twice before, finished last in 2006 but did all right in 2001. finally getting the chance to represent her country. She's been involved in the Maltese selection loads of times. This song, in all honesty though, one of the weakest she had in a Maltese national final. Breathlessly, a ballad, nothing original about it. Her face on the LED screen, lots of blue tones. Very good singer, no doubt about it. Really likeable performer. 16th place, 55 points. Malta received 55 points solely from the juries. A big, fat 0 from the public. That's really harsh. It's really harsh. Every year we do see, and I've said this before, Malta doing reasonably well with the juries, disappointingly with the public. Now, this year, had the contest in Rotterdam gone ahead, we might have seen a sort of even result. Malta and Destiny doing quite well with the public and the juries. But for many years, the juries have loved Malta more. That's not the way it should be. It's a real shame. I don't really understand it because Malta has sent quality in the recent past. This song, though, not one of their best. Not a qualifier, 16th place. Ireland, Song 9. This was Brendan Murray, who after Eurovision appeared on the British version of The X Factor. I don't know where he finished, maybe about 5th or 6th, not entirely sure, doesn't matter. Quite high-pitched, his vocals. This was Dying to Try. 13th place, 86 points. He had a hot air balloon on stage, and I think the only reason he had that is because if he didn't have that, this song would have fallen flat on its face. It is a really quite forgettable entry. I mean, he can sing fairly well. The studio version's not bad. But live, he just didn't sound that amazing, in my opinion. The song didn't stand out enough. I'm not really sure the hot air balloon model really needed to be there. But anyway, in the split results, Ireland were 12th with the public and with the jurors. Slightly more points from the jurors. Moving on, San Marino, Song 10. Valentina Monetta was back for a 4th bite of the Eurovision cherry, and Jimmy Wilson was the person she was partnered up with. He's American, probably has never set foot in San Marino in his life, although I assume he did for the postcard. But anyway, Spirit of the Night. This finished last with 1 point. 1 point from both the jurors and the public combined. 1 point. Can you believe it? Well, this song, not that amazing. Dated, disco-type pop. If this had been the 90s, then this would have done surely better. But 2017, yeah, this just felt really quite cheesy, dated. They were having a good time, and the performance itself, really not too bad. But yeah, this didn't really stand much of a chance. That 1 point came in the public half of the results from Germany, interestingly enough, because I think Jimmy Wilson has done some work in Germany. That probably explains it. But anyway, there we go. 1 point. Nothing from the juries at all. Next up is Switzerland. Oh, beautiful, underrated Switzerland once again. Song 13. This was Time Bell, a group, female lead singer, with Apollo. This song's pretty damn good. The live version, let down by really unusual staging, I think it's fair to say. They went for this sort of fairy tale look. I wasn't a fan of the colour scheme. They had this sort of spiral staircase structure. She was in a bright canary yellow dress. There was some pink in the lighting as well. It just didn't look great. It sounded okay, but it didn't look aesthetically pleasing, in my opinion. Very beautiful lead singer, absolutely no doubt about it. A couple of years before this, in 2015, Time Bell were in the Swiss national final with a terrific song called Singing About Love. It lost out to Melanie Renee. And I think I've said this before on my channel, and I will say it again. I have no sympathy whatsoever for Switzerland and their 2015 result. You made an absolutely humongous error not sending Time Bell that year. Melanie Renee's entry, okay, it's all right, time to shine, but you should have sent Time Bell, and that's all I'm saying on the matter. Instead, Time Bell did get their chance 2 years later with a decent entry, albeit maybe not quite as strong as their previous Swiss national final attempt. Apollo is fine, 12th place though, 97 points, unlucky to miss out really, 10th with the public, 11th with the juries. What a shame. It was the staging that maybe let it down. Lithuania, song 16. Lithuania, I think this was the first year in which they had that massive, long-running national final procedure. You know, it lasted several months. This was the song they chose. What a disappointment, I'm afraid. Fused Mark, a group with a female lead singer who I believe was all in red. Can't quite remember. Reign of Revolution. This was a very strange and unique Eurovision entry. I don't really know how to describe it. It was quite cool, but also quite grating, if you see what I mean. You couldn't really get into it much, and this stood little chance of going through. 17th place, 42 points. Lithuania were 15th with the public and 16th with the juries. I really don't have much else to say about this. Not many people loved it then, not many people love it now. Lithuania have upped their game though. Song 17, Estonia, Lithuania's neighbours. Koit Tume, who finished in mid-table in 1998 with Mere Lapsed in Birmingham, and Laura, who was part of Sun Tribe in 2005, but did not go through. They teamed up for Verona. And this song is a ballad, but again, I don't have any sympathy for you, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, you should have sent Kerry. You should have sent Kerry, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. There's no doubt in my mind. The reason I say this is because there is no doubt in my mind that Spirit Animal would have qualified from this semi-final. Verona, okay, I admit it. I thought it was going to go through. I was surprised when it didn't. But then again, the live performance was a bit of a letdown, maybe. There didn't seem to be much chemistry between the two of them. Laura's microphone crapped out on her for the first couple of seconds, and I think she was very critical of that, but come on. You can't just mention that. The song, not amazing. The performance, not that memorable. I really don't have much else to say about it. Estonia missed a trick in 2017. This finished 14th with 85 points. It was 6th with the public, but 17th with the juries. Big difference there. I mean, I would have put Estonia through maybe ahead of Austria. But anyway, it's long gone. Let's move on. The final. This is a long video. I do apologise. Let me know your thoughts. Hopefully the quality's not too bad. The grand final, 26 countries, everybody voted. Song 1 was the closing song of the second semi-final once again. It's happened quite a few times that. Israel, Imri Ziv, quite a confident, good-looking guy, with I Feel Alive. On first, always difficult. Unless you have a genuinely brilliant song, you will struggle opening the show. This finished 23rd with 39 points. And in the split results, he was 22nd with 5 points in the public half of the results, and 21st with the juries. The voting was absolutely dominant in terms of Portugal and Bulgaria doing well. So a lot of countries didn't receive very many points at all in the public half of the results especially. Anyway, Israel, yeah, good song, got that pulsating beat going on, pyrotechnics, fire, but I don't know. I don't want to use the word irritating, but I suppose that's the only word I can think of. It is a little bit irritating, this song. But I can listen to it, I can enjoy it enough, just not regularly. In the semi-final, he was 3rd, which is really quite impressive. He was 4th with the public and 6th with the jurors. Moving on, song 2, Nobody Wants to Perform Second. It was Poland's turn, and Poland have never won, which I do find quite surprising. Surely they will at some point. Maybe if they put as much effort into the adult competition as they do the junior show. Anyway, Kasia Mosh with Flashlight. She was wearing a white dress. This is not the most memorable song. I've never really liked it, I'll be completely honest with you. I don't think this should have gone through, but that's just my opinion. Poland are better than this. The song finished 22nd with 64 points. In the semi-final, Kasia was... in the first semi-final, actually, she finished 9th, with finishing 6th, in the public half of the results, and 11th with the juries. Dear me, I'm starting to ramble now. In the grand final, 12th. That's pretty impressive with the public, and way down in 23rd with the juries. So no repeat of the 2016 result, where Poland suddenly moved up about 20 places when the public results were announced. Really don't have much to say about this one. It's low-key, it's quite forgettable. There was a guy pretending to play the violin, was he not, on stage? 64 points overall. Song 3, Belarus. Really nice to have this in the grand final, performed entirely in their native tongue. Navi Band. The song's title's in English though, Story of My Life. Male-female duo, a couple. They kissed on stage. This song finished 17th, which I think is about right, with 83 points in the grand final, 13th with the public, and 16th with the juries. And in the first semi-final, Belarus were in the second semi-final. Dear me, they finished 9th and finished 7th with the public and 9th with the juries. This is a very jaunty, catchy, folky tune, so it did stand out because it was quite different in genre compared to pretty much everything else that year. They were performing on a little boat, and they were really happy. It was very sing-along, really quite nice. Song 4, Austria. Did this song deserve to be in the final? I don't know. Austria are very hit and miss in Eurovision, I think it's fair to say. This was Nathan Trent with Running on Air. In the second semi-final, he was the last person to be announced as a qualifier. Austria finished 7th in the second semi-final, finishing way down in 14th with the public, even though it was a bit of a fan favourite at the time, and 4th with the juries. In the grand final, Austria were last with a big fat 0 in the public half of the results. I mean, that really is quite surprising, but he was on early. The song maybe doesn't stand out too much. He was 11th with the juries though, so quite the difference there. This song, it's quite charming, it's quite pretty. He had that moon structure on stage, similar to the DreamWorks logo. And, I mean, it looked nice, and he sounded alright. If this had been on later, maybe it would have fared better. But as he was on 4th, clearly the producers of the show who put together the running order did not have a lot of faith in this, maybe. It is what it is. We move on. Song 5, Armenia, tipped for a top 10 finish, finished nowhere in the end. This was Artsvik, female performer. I guess this is quite a traditional sort of song, you know, in terms of the instrumentation perhaps. This was Fly With Me. It finished 18th, which is really quite a flop, you could say. Disappointing for Armenia. And to be honest, they haven't had a great result in a number of years now. 79 points. In the grand final, Armenia were 18th with the public and 14th with the juries. And in the semi-final, they were in the first semi-final, Armenia was 7th with the public, 6th with the juries, and therefore finished in 7th place overall. I've never been a huge fan of this one, I'll be honest, but I can appreciate it for what it is. Sort of purple, the main colour scheme here, a couple of dancers on stage with her. But again, on early, and that could have been the killer blow right there. Song 6, The Netherlands. Here's an underrated gem. Goodness gracious me. This is a great example of why we do need the juries in the contest. This was O'Gene, Lisa, Amy and Shelley. They were formerly in Junior Eurovision with Adam In, Adam Out, which is a really fun, catchy song. Anyway, Lights and Shadows. This is a more serious ballad. I think it was about their ill mother, I want to say. Can't quite remember. But the vocals here were absolutely immense. Some of the best female harmonies I've ever heard at Eurovision. This finished 11th, and rightly so, with 150 points. In the split results, the Netherlands were 5th. 5th, that's really good, in the jury half of the results. But 19th with 15 measly points in the public half of the results. I can understand why. People might have found it boring, dull, on early, we've forgotten about it, fair enough. But those vocals alone deserve points, thank heavens for the jurors. In the second semi-final, the Netherlands were 9th with the public, 2nd with the juries, and in that second semi-final therefore finished 4th with 200 points overall. This song, it is a ballad, it's all about the vocals, just builds up quite nicely, and they were in black dresses, everything was working really well. It deserved to finish 11th or higher. I'll take 11th though. Song 7, Moldova. Who thought this was going to get the bronze medal at the time? Not me. I predicted it to finish well down. Sunstroke Project, alongside Olia Tira, were in the 2010 contest, but really struggled. Which I have to say surprises me, when this song, which isn't all that different maybe, finished 3rd. Epic Sax Guy, the meme himself, was back. 3rd place. 374 points. It's Moldova's best entry to date in the first semi-final, second with the public, and fourth with the juries, and therefore finished second overall. Very impressive. In the grand final, this song, Hey Mama, finished third with the public and eighth with the juries. I have to say, really impressive that the juries liked this a lot as well. But the performance was slick, it was catchy, it was fun. They were smartly dressed. You had women in wedding dresses, did you not? Fairly simple choreography, but effective. It looked and sounded really great, and I think the performance holds up today. I can see them coming back from Moldova for a third time in the future. Let me know your thoughts on that. Is it the third best song of the 2017 contest? Maybe. Suddenly the performance was one of the best. Let me know your thoughts. Song 8, Hungry, Yotsi Papai with Origo. And this song was performed in Hungarian with a few words in... well, it has onomatopoeias commonly used by Romani singers. The title is Latin. Let's clear that up. This song, I think, caught people by surprise. It did better than expected. 8th place, 200 points. Pretty damn impressive, if you ask me. Hungary was second. Really impressive. In the second semi-final, they were second with the public and 7th with the juries. And in the grand final, 7th with the public, way down in 17th with the juries, who clearly did not appreciate this very unique and traditional sound that Hungary were bringing to the table. Great singer. He'd be back 2 years later but didn't qualify. Real shame there. I actually prefer his 2019 entry. But anyway, this song's grown on me a lot. Playing that instrument. You had a woman dancing as well. Flames around the stage. This was just a really soothing, beautiful song. And you can appreciate it even if you don't speak the language. Really wonderful stuff. Anyway, song 9. This was the overwhelming, ladies and gentlemen, favourite to win. I mean, it was so clear. All the bets were off. It was obvious. Francesco Gabani with Occidentali's Karma for Italy. He was going to win. And then he didn't even finish in the top 5. The momentum fell right away the week of Eurovision, even the week before. I think people were disappointed by the rehearsals. Salvador turned up and everybody was gushing over him. And that was the end of it for Mr. Gabani. But this song is fantastic. It's my favourite of the 2017 contest. It's one of my all-time Eurovision favourites. 6th place, fair enough. This song has had millions and millions and millions of views on YouTube. It's such a fun, interesting song lyrically. The performance was very fun. The man in the gorilla costume, the dance moves, Francesco sounding great, the rainbow stripes down his sleeves. I mean, there was a lot going on, but it all sort of came together quite nicely. 6th place, 334 points. In the split results, he finished 6th with the public and 7th with the juries. I mean, this song is great. It is. It's so fun. But in the end, it just ran out of steam. And it was on early, but then again, so were Portugal. 11th place, I guess you could say that's early. Anyway, moving on. Sandwiched between Italy and Portugal. Poor old Denmark. This was Anja Nielsen, who has roots in Australia, and this song, Where I Am. She had tried to represent Denmark the year before, arguably with a better, more memorable song. This was a ballad. She belted it out. Arguably, she was a little bit over the top trying to hit those notes. Let me know your thoughts on that. I quite like it, but I understand why it struggled. I really do. You had that falling rain pyrotechnic effect at the end. Everything was quite nice, but who was really going to go big for this? 20th place, 77 points. In the split results, Denmark got 8 from the public, 21st place. 13th, though, is pretty good. That's above France and Romania in the jury vote. In the semi-final, Denmark only just scraped through. They were 16th with 5 points from the public, but 5th with 96 points from the juries. And Denmark went through in 10th place, narrowly ahead of Serbia. Yeah, it's a ballad, it's fine, she looked great, very beautiful performer, and sadly, the running order sort of killed any chance she had. Excuse me, we'll leave Portugal for now. I'm going to try and race through this. If you're still with me, thank you very much. Azerbaijan, song 12, pretty good, pretty unique, very different, quite moody and dark, and the staging was quite bizarre. Man with a horse's head on, a blackboard, you know, all these words all over it. Very baffling to a neutral viewer, even to Eurovision fans. Dihaj, real name, Diana Khajieva. The song was called Skeletons. It's not bad, really not a bad song. 14th place, 120 points. In the split results, Azerbaijan were 11th with the public, albeit with 42 points. That's quite low for 11th place. 12th with the juries. In the first semi-final, Dihaj was 8th with the public and 5th with the juries, and therefore finished in 8th place overall. Yeah, this is quite a good song, quite a powerful, you know, packs a punch sort of chorus. 14th place, fair enough, but at one point this was expected to do very, very well indeed. Croatia, song 13, back in the final, to some surprise, but then again, this was always a little bit of a dark horse to do quite well. Jacques Hudek, big star in the Balkans, especially in his homeland, had tried before to represent Croatia many years before. My Friend, 13th place, 128 points. Essentially, he was duetting with himself. Sort of operatic at one point, and then sort of normal singing voice the next. It was cheesy as all hell, but it did sort of work, you know? And he sang really well. In the second semi-final, he went through in 8th place, finishing 5th with the public, 13th with the juries, and in the grand final, he was 9th with the public, which is a little bit too high if you ask me, way down in 22nd with the juries, who I guess saw it as a bit of a gimmick. Nevertheless, really not a bad song, but you could say overrated. I don't know. Australia, song 14. This was always going to be loved by the juries. The public, though, really weren't keen on this. This is Isaiah, young male performer, pretty good singer, but this song, well, let's just say if he had a better song, he would have finished higher up. This was Don't Come Easy. It did finish 9th, not bad, with 173 points. In the first semi-final, he went through in 6th place. This is despite finishing 2nd with the juries and 15th with the public. And then in the final, I have to say, overrated by the public here. The juries, sorry. 4th with the juries, and then 2 measly points, 25th in the public half of the results. I'm just taking a look here. Those 2 points came from Denmark. So it was probably a case of, well, you know, Denmark have got Anya, who's Australian, you know, let's exchange points, that sort of thing. Anyway, this song, I'm going to use that term again, low key. He was sort of on this moving treadmill, was he not? His face, like Claudia Faniello, blown up onto the LED screen. He had a really bad note. I think it was in the first semi-final, and he never really recovered there. He went through, I believe he was booed at the time, and in the grand final, I mean, it was one of those songs that was just there, people forgot about it. 9th place, fair enough, but this is not a fan favourite by any stretch of the imagination. Oh dear, song 15, Greece. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure this was good enough to be in the final. It was Demi with This Is Love. At no point really in the rehearsals, in the semi-final, in the final, did she hit the notes she needed to hit. As a result, you could say that's why she really struggled. 19th place, disappointing for Greece, 77 points. In the first semi-final, 9th with the public, 9th with the juries, and therefore 10th overall, just going through. In the grand final, I really always thought that this was going to struggle. 16th with the public, 18th with the juries. This is an alright song. You know, it's quite up-tempo and catchy. The studio version is much better, but there were much better songs. Simple as that. Spain, song 16, massive controversy surrounding this one at the national final. Big mistake. Spain should not have sent this. It could have been Mirella. Hopefully she'll come back at some point. But anyway, Manel Navarro. I will say nothing bad about him. I don't know him. Likeable guy. Unfortunately, his song, really not it, if you see what I mean. Do It For Your Lover, which he said multiple times throughout this song. Finished last, 5 measly points. He was 23rd, so Germany, Australia, who finished 9th overall, remember, and Austria finished below him in the public half of the results, but he was last with a big fat 0 in the jury results. This song, quite summery, but it just didn't feel finished. It was sort of a song that felt thrown together at the last minute. The staging was a little bit stereotypical, and Spain got sort of what they deserved a little bit that year. They are capable of so much better than this. Norway next. A lot of people were sleeping on this. Song 17, Joust. Now, Joust is Joachim with Steen, who is a Norwegian music producer and songwriter. He was joined on stage by Alexander Valman, who did the vocals. This song grabbed the moment. It's a sort of up-tempo pop song, again with electro-type beats, I want to say. They had pre-recorded vocals as well, which is a sort of no-no for Eurovision, but they were allowed to do it because it was only brief, something like that. Anyway, grab the moment, 10th place, pretty good, 158 points. In the split results in the final, 6th with the juries. A lot of people really didn't think Norway were going to do that well, but 6th is impressive. Way down 15th, 29 points isn't great in the public half of the results. In the second semi-final, 8th with the public, apologies, 3rd with the juries, and therefore went through the second semi-final in 5th place. I quite like it. It's quite catchy, quite modern. Would have done well in the charts here in the UK had it been the British entry. Song 18, talking of the UK, it's the UK. Lucy Jones was on the X Factor years ago and was booted out early, which was a big talking point. Great singer. She does a lot of theatre work now. This song, co-written by former Eurovision winner Emily de Forest, the Danish winner in 2013, Never Give Up On You. When I first heard this, I didn't think it was that amazing. When it won the British national final, I was a little bit disappointed because there were some very good songs there. But anyway, the revamped version was good. The staging, she had this sort of shell-like structure on stage. It was really beautiful, and she sounded really great. Some of her facial expressions were a bit strange, but anyway, we can gloss over that. 15th place. I mean, it deserved better, I'll be honest. One rare year in which the UK should have finished much higher. 15th place, 111 points. It was the public who let us down. There's a surprise. 12 points, 20th place. 10th with the juries. Fair enough. It's a nice ballad. I can listen to it. I can enjoy it. It's top-notch stuff. Cyprus next. This should not have been in the final. Just my opinion. I don't think it was that strong. This was song 19, Hovig with Gravity. And the backdrop was very similar to Rhythm Inside for Belgium several years before this. 21st place, 68 points. I don't have much to say about this. In the first semi-final, 5th with the juries, 5th with the public. I do apologise again. 5th with the public, 10th with the juries. And then in the final, Cyprus were 14th with the public and 20th with the juries. This song's just relatively unremarkable. Coming after the UK and right before Romania, always going to struggle. Cyprus went through 5th place in the first semi-final. Then we move on to Romania. People thought this was really silly, but it's really not a bad song. Yodel It by Ilinka, the female part of the duo, featuring Alex Florea. This just worked. It shouldn't have done, but it did. It was catchy, it was fun, it was a little bit all over the place. They had that cannon on stage as well, and then he tried to plant a kiss on Ilinka at the end of the performance, which I think she was totally bemused by. But this finished 7th. It was always going to do well. 282 points. It's a bit of a modern Eurovision classic, this. I think it holds up today. It was very different. It stood out. And it wasn't really silly. You know, it really wasn't. Anyway, in the second semi-final, Romania always going to do better with the public. 3rd there, way down in 15th with the juries. In the final, Romania were 5th above Italy in the public half of the results and 15th with the juries. It meant that they finished 7th overall and in the second semi-final, 6th overall. This is just fun. One of my favourites. I remember loving this the first time I heard it, before it had even been performed at the Romanian national final. Just great stuff. That little injection of fun that we need. Germany next, Levina, Perfect Life. People say this is plagiarised, make of that what you will. This song, unfortunately, very unmemorable. The staging was quite plain, lots of grey, and yeah, this was always going to struggle. It finished 25th with 6 points, 24th with the public, and 25th with the juries. I really don't have much else to add. Nobody really remembers this. Nobody really was supporting this at the time. We move on to Ukraine, a very disappointing host nation entry. It's not often that Ukraine send a band. a male band at that, O Torvald with Time. This was sort of the only rock song of the year, I guess. 24th place, 36 points. Ukraine was 17th in the public half of the results, 24th with the juries. They had that big head structure on stage. I don't mind rock, but this wasn't that great. And honestly, it's one of the weakest songs Ukraine has ever sent. And as it was their time to host again, this was a real letdown. But anyway, Belgium next. Oh, it won't qualify. It won't qualify. She looks really nervous, really scared. Her vocals aren't great. The song, you know what, I'm going off it. It's not going to do well. Well, Blanche showed you. City Lights for Belgium finished 4th, and this was Belgium's 3rd top 10 finish in a row and their 2nd top 5 finish in 3 years. This song is great. Really fantastic. Holds up today. Blanche has recently released her debut album. The songs, a little bit Lana Del Rey, but otherwise, absolute quality. This song, 363 points. It was just too good to struggle, in my opinion. 4th with the public and 9th with the juries. In the first semi-final, Belgium were 3rd with the public, but 13th with the juries. I think she saved her best for the grand final. Surrey, who would represent the UK a year later in Lisbon, was part of the Belgian act in 2017, as she had been for Loic in 2015. Blanche, young, wearing a dress, alone on stage, doing these gesticulations, shall we say. Yes, she sounded a little bit nervous, and she was quite shy in interviews, and her English wasn't the best, but I watched so many interviews that she did. She was just so likeable, really sweet, and the song, fantastic. Belgium need more of this, I'm afraid. We then have Sweden doing what they do best, slick pop, which they know the juries will lap up in their droves. This was Robin Bengtsson, very confident, suave and sophisticated performer. He's been involved in Melfest a bunch of times, including this year. I Can't Go On. This opened the first semi-final. He finished 3rd in that semi-final, 4th with the public and 3rd with the juries. In the final, he was 3rd with the juries, which is a little bit too high, 8th with the public. He started off backstage and then dancers joined him and they were on treadmills and doing those hand movements. It was all very slick, very polished. Sweden know when they've got it right, and I think they were very confident of doing well again. 5th place, 344 points. That's a very impressive score for a song that I think now most Eurovision fans would sort of dismiss. Moving on, Bulgaria, song 25. For me, this is overrated. There you go, I've said it, we move on. Christian Kostov with Beautiful Mess. He was 16 at the time, just 16, and he sang very well. But I have to be honest and say that I don't understand why this song is so popular. But if you like it, great. I'm not going to criticize you for it. 2nd place, 615 points is a huge score for a song that I don't think is that amazing. I mean, the performance was alright, I guess. His vocals were good. But I feel like I've heard this a million times before. He won the 2nd semi-final, 1st with the public and the juries, and he was 2nd with the public and the juries in the final. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. A singer with a lot of potential. I think he's doing good things now. But yeah, remains Bulgaria's best result to date. It could have been bettered this year had the contest gone ahead. France, closing the grand final. Alma, beautiful, stunning woman, with Requiem, performed in French and English. The music video was quite cool. The Eiffel Tower, of course. Lots of dancing. This song, she was alone on stage. Bit disappointing. But the backdrop was fantastic. Everything was really working. She sounded pretty good. This was never going to win, but it was never going to struggle either. 12th, 135 points. In the split results, France were 10th with the public and, disappointingly, 19th with the juries. This was good. Quite sassy, but not in-your-face sassy. Really enjoyable stuff, and a performance I've watched back plenty of times. That leaves Portugal. Salvador Sobral was very ill. So Luísa Sobral, his sister who wrote this song, stood in for him in rehearsals, and then she did a great job. And then he turned up, performed really well. It was so stripped back. He was on that little stage among the crowd, forestry type scene on the backdrop. In Portuguese, Amar pelos dois, love for the two of us. 1st place, 758 points, is a record points total for a Eurovision song. especially under the current system, that is. And I didn't like it much at the time. When it won the Portuguese national final, I did not like it. At Eurovision, I still wasn't a huge fan. Now, I'm still not a huge fan, but I really like it so much more than I did 3 years ago. It's just such a charming, beautiful, movie-like, romantic, sweet song, and he performed it really nicely. He wasn't bothered about his outfit or what was going on around him. He was totally attuned, if that's the right word to use, to his performance, to the song, and it's a beautiful song. Did it deserve to win? I think so. Portugal had been waiting longer than any other country to win, and finally they won, and it was their first top 5 finish as well. Very impressive. We have to applaud it. Really, really terrific stuff. Trounced the opposition, won the first semi-final, public and jury, trounced the opposition in the final, won the public and the jury. Absolutely crushing victory, it has to be said overall. Wonderful. I think Portugal deserved to win. And now, 50 minutes after I started yakking, this video is coming to an end. Like I said, apologies if the quality isn't that great. Let me know your thoughts on the 2017 Eurovision Song Contest. I will be back at some point soon to talk about, hopefully in a time that is shorter than 51 minutes, about the 2018 contest. And let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see from me. As I've said in recent videos, things are changing for me from September. I won't have as much time to make videos, but I'd still like to film content when I can. So if you've got any suggestions, let me know. Apologies for rambling. That was my look back at Eurovision 2017. Italy was my favourite. Portugal won, and Lisbon would host the following year. Until next time, thank you very much for sticking with me, if indeed you have. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye for now.